Hey guys, what's up? Hope everybody had a good new year. Sorry, still trying to get things straightened up here. Hope everybody had a good new year. This is my first live stream of the new year. I'm trying out some different stuff. I got me a laptop, bought myself a laptop for Christmas. So I'm going to be using it along with my phone and see how it goes. Welcome everybody to Southern Gal True Crime. If this is your first time here, I share missing persons, cold cases, current true crime in the news, and just about anything true crime related. So if you like that kind of thing, consider subscribing while you're here. Hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. It helps small channels like mine. Check out my playlist. I've got a bunch of playlists, bunch of different categories. And also, if you have any friends and family or any true crime groups you're in, please share them. Share me with them. That always helps out small channels like mine. Let's see what we got going. Hey, Junior Johnson. He says, "Hopefully, I can stay up this late." Yeah, I hope I can too. It's been a long couple of days. Michelle C is here. Hey, Michelle C. Good to see you. Junior Johnson, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you're still awake. How did everybody's New Year's go? Did anybody do any wild celebrating, or are you like me and you're getting to the age where you just don't celebrate anymore? Actually, I celebrated on New Year's Eve. I went to see Bret Michaels in concert, just down the road a little bit. First concert I've been to in a long time, and it was so fun, and I just enjoyed it so much. I love Bret Michaels. I don't know if anybody here is old enough to know who Bret Michaels is, but he was a former lead singer of Poison. He does solo stuff now, and I grew up in the 80s and early 90s, so the 80s hair bands and or glam rock, whatever you want to call it, is my jam. So I really enjoyed it, but I found out that I'm getting a little bit too old to do all the jumping up and down and dancing and yelling and screaming at concerts now, because I felt it definitely the next day. But it was worth it. It was worth it. Oh, Junior says he went to bed. Did you get back up? I don't want to keep you up late, but by all means, if you can't stay up this late, you can always watch the replay. I got 5 people here, so whoever's here, just give me a shout out or let me know who's here. I know Junior's here, Michelle's here. Or if you don't want to talk, that's fine. You can lurk. That's all right. Michelle C says, I was also in bed, barely awake, to text a couple of people Happy New Year. Yeah. Yeah, New Year's. I spent New Year's Eve watching football games, or I don't know. I've watched so many football games. The NCAA football playoffs. I forgot what I was watching on New Year's Eve. I watched a little bit of the Dick Clark's New Year's Eve, or whatever they call it now, with Ryan Seacrest. The only reason I watched this is Green Day performed, and I'm a big Green Day fan, so I watched that. But so tonight I thought we would just talk about just kind of have an open chat on stuff, and I found some stories that were kind of interesting, that it about some older cases, some developments that had come up within this 2023. I found a lot of stuff on Oxygen True Crime Network that I thought was interesting. Thought we'd just talk about that a little bit, or anything else you guys want to talk about, any current stuff that's going on. We had we may touch on, if we have time a little bit later, the the current controversy, current true crime now is the demolition of the Idaho 4 house. Although from what I understand, both the prosecution and defense agree to it, but I kind of agree with the families. This is just my opinion. That they should have at least waited till after the trial was over, just in case, because you never know, just you never know what and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't want to take maybe the jurors out there to look at it, kind of like they did with the Murdaugh case. But I know every trial is different, and I'm not a professional, so I don't know exactly how all those things work. But at any rate, the house is now gone, and I don't know what they're going to do with it, if they'll put some kind of a memorial up or anything. But I think it would be nice to put a memorial up. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, or anybody watching in replay. Kind of like they did with the Lyric and Elizabeth Evansdale case. They made a memorial in the park close to where they disappeared. They renamed it Angels Park, and they got a memorial for it's really a memorial for anybody. I think they also have Amber Crumb Memorial out there, and then of course a memorial for Lyric and Elizabeth. And it's a very beautiful place. Yes, Junior, I am working on looking up and researching the Dee Warner case. That may be my next case of the week that I do. Now that I'm trying to get back to my since all the holidays are over now and New Year's, I'm going to try to get back to my normal uploading schedule with my Missing Person Monday videos on Mondays and my case of the week on Fridays. But I'm definitely going to look into Dee Warner, and I will research it. And like I said, that'll probably be my next case of the week. But if you have any, because sometimes when I look at some of these cases, I can't find a whole lot of information on them. But Junior, you said it is in your hometown of Michigan. So if you have any kind of information that comes from credible sources, you can email it to me. My email address is wildirishrose71@gmail.com. And you can always find it in the about section of my page if you if you forget it. All right, we'll get into, before I babble on too much. First, let's see, let me get my slides. Make sure I don't know if I got the right one. I don't think I do. Hold on, technical difficulties. I had to redo my slides because I came across an article I wanted to talk about at last minute, so I had to redo my slides. And I don't know if I got the right ones. All right, let's see if this is the right one. So first, we're going to feature, I always feature a missing person in any of my videos and live streams. And today, it is Asia Morgan. She's just 17 years old. She went missing from Paragould, Arkansas on December 6th of last year. I'll keep wanting to say this year, of 2023. She's a black female, 5'6", 160 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen in Paragould, but they say she may be in the Blytheville, Arkansas area. And she has tattoos on her right hand. So if you have any information, if you're in the Arkansas area, if you have any information regarding Asia, or disappearance, or possible whereabouts, please contact the Paragould Police Department at 870-236-7621. And even if you're not in the Arkansas area, As soon as the live stream finishes, I will put a link, because this is from the Morgan Nick Foundation Facebook page. So I'll put a link to it in the comment section. And then when YouTube lets me edit, I will also put it in the description box. So Asia Morgan, that is our featured missing person for the night. So please share this anywhere and everywhere you can. It'll be very much appreciated. All right. Junior John says had national attention. Yeah, Junior, I've heard it. But like I said, I haven't, with all the holidays and the craziness and the family and all that going on, I haven't had a chance to research it. But like I said, I'm going to be trying to get back to my regular uploading schedule and then try to do some more live streams. So I will definitely get to it. Well, we have royalty in the house. Hello, Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve from True Crime Web is here. It's always an honor to have you here, sir. If anybody here does not know or has not checked out True Crime Web, Mr. Steve and Mrs. Steve, please check them out. He is, both of them are two of my favorite people, two of my favorite creators, and a big inspiration for me in starting my channel. And I owe him a lot. He's been really supportive and encouraging for me. So it's always an honor when he drops by. So thank you, Mr. Steve. And you can find his link. You can go to the home page of my channel and scroll down to where it says, please visit our friends below, and the link to True Crime Web is there. And I'm very picky. Only special people get featured in my friends section. So it's True Crime Web, the Mob Crew with Chris, Carolyn from Unearthed Secrets, and Dave. Got Dave in there. And I don't know if Dave will be here. I saw him earlier in Mr. Steve's live. He had a death in his family. So thoughts and prayers going out to Dave. I hope you're doing okay out there, buddy. Oh, Mr. Steve, you have been nothing but kind and generous and supportive of me. So I always like to pay it forward, pay it back whenever I can. All right. Yes. Shell C says King Walker and Diamond Bynum's case is one that needs attention. Please look into it if you're able. Yes. On one of the last live streams I did, you guys are giving me a lot of cases to look into, and that is another one. The Dee Warner case I wrote down, and the King Walker and Diamond Bynum case I wrote down. And I will definitely, they will definitely be featured in upcoming cases and videos on my channel. Those are my priorities. Like I said, once now all the craziness of the holidays is over for a little while, I'll get back to my normal schedule. All right, so like I said, tonight we're just going to talk about just a few things. I found an article regarding Rex Heuermann and a possible victim that they're trying to link him to from South Carolina. We take a little bit look at the Jacob Wetterling case, because I knew about this case, but it kind of slipped out of my mind until I was rewatching the Morgan Nick documentary. And apparently Jacob's mother and Morgan's mom, Colleen, were friends, so they were talking a little bit about Jacob Wetterling case. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Then we have the happy face offender. I can't say the K word. They found or identified one of his victims. I think it's been 29 years. She's been identified. And then the yogurt shop crimes. Once again, I can't say the M word. It's been 30 years or more, and they still haven't been solved. So I found some some articles on that just to read a little bit from and discuss and see what you guys have you guys heard of most of these cases. I'm sure everybody's heard about Rick Shearman. Know much about the Jacob Wetterling and the Happy Face and the yogurt shop. You're welcome, Michelle. Yes, I will get to it, like I said, as soon as I can. All right, so the first one, let me get to the right slide. So this is one I added in at the last minute because I thought it was interesting. Missing, apparently there was a missing Wisconsin woman that has been identified 4 decades, so 40 years after her body was found in rural Indiana. And guess how they identified her? Was my favorite subject that I like to talk about. Hello, Raul. Glad to see you here. Glad you could make it. I'm glad everybody's tuning in tonight. I watched a little bit of Mr. Steve's True Crime Webs, his live tonight, but I was doing some in the middle of some family stuff too, so I'm gonna have to go back and finish watching it on the replay. But thank you for being here. All right, so this missing Wisconsin woman. She was identified as a Connie Lorraine Christensen. She was last seen in Nashville, Tennessee in April of 1982. And her remains were identified more than 40 years later. Authorities have, and this comes from oxygen.com, authorities have positively identified a Jane Doe nearly 41 years after hunters found her remains while hiking in rural Indiana. And that's usually the way that if you have a missing person, somebody goes missing, especially the longer the time goes on, usually how their remains are found is because they can do searches and searches and searches and never come across, never be able to find the remains of the body. And then years later, just hunters, hikers, dog walkers, just people out, they just happen to be, you might say, the right place at the right time and just, stumble across these remains. I was actually earlier watching an episode of The First 48, and that's it was about a teenage girl who had went missing, and that's how her remains were found. They were found, I can't remember, it was months later. And that's how it's just a guy was out walking in the woods and he just happened to stumble across the remains, and of course he called 911, alerted the police, and that like I said, it's just sadly that's how these missing people, a lot of these missing people are found is just by accident. All right, so back to Connie Lorraine Christensen, 20, of Madison, Wisconsin, has been identified as the remains found north of Jacksonburg, Indiana on December 26, 1982, according to a statement from the DNA Doe Project, which assisted the Wayne County Coroner's Office in the identification. Deer hunters hiking along Martindale Creek found the skeletal remains of the woman in the fork of a tree, according to the nonprofit and case information from NamUs. It appeared that at the time of her death that she had been wearing high-heeled wooden clogs, a blue button-up blouse, a white bra, blue or gray knit socks, gray slacks, a blue nylon jacket. And also found with her was a gold ring with an opal and 2 diamonds. So you would assume if this was a robbery type deal, they would have taken the ring. Like I said, I have not looked into this case. I'm gonna have to research this case too, and maybe do a video on it, because this article is the first that I had found on this particular case. Officials determined the woman to be Caucasian with brown hair, approximately 18 to 22 years old, about 5'3" to 5'7". And this is from the Doe Project. Investigators suspected foul play in the case, though a cause of death could not be determined. It was indicated that she had been deceased for up to 8 months. She was last seen in Nashville, Tennessee in April of 1982 and was believed to be 3 or 4 months pregnant. So not only was she deceased, so was her unborn child. Chief Deputy Coroner Lauren Ogden at the Wayne County Coroner's Office told the Associated Press Christensen left her 1-year-old daughter, so I guess she had also had another child, with family during her trip to Nashville. When she never returned to Wisconsin as planned, her relatives reported her missing. When her then unidentified remains were discovered in December of 1982, investigators believe she died of GSW. A breakthrough in the case came when the Wayne County Coroner's Office partnered with the DNA Doe Project, an organization dedicated to identifying cold case victims. So, how was she identified? Christensen's remains were stored with the University of Indianapolis's Forensic Anthropology Department while authorities were trying to identify her. Genetic genealogy determined that the DNA extracted from the remains did match the DNA of 2 of Christensen's relatives, who had given a DNA sample to the ancestry website GEDmatch to build a family tree. We were fortunate enough to find 2 relatively close DNA relative matches in GEDmatch that led us to Connie's family, said team leader Lori Flowers with the DNA Doe Project. Taking a DNA test and uploading to GEDmatch is the best way for families of missing persons to help organizations like ours make these identifications. So, any of you who have watched my channel before, and we all know the kind of controversy about using these public databases to either identify victims or potential offenders, and the right to privacy and all this stuff. And I understand the right to privacy. But in my opinion, if it can help identify a missing person and bring them back to their family, or help identify a potential offender, I'm all for using it. I mean, that's just my opinion. If you don't agree, that's fine. Everybody's opinion is welcome here. But yeah, it's just and I don't know if anybody out there knows, because I read an article when I was talking about another case that the victim had been identified using genetic genealogy, that people that had uploaded their DNA to any of these public databases gave permission for it to be used by law enforcement or police. Now, I don't know if that's mandatory or if it's on all sites. So if anybody out there in chat knows, or anybody watching replay, let me know. Because that would be interesting to know. All right, back to Miss Christensen. I'm going to call her Connie because I'm having trouble saying Christensen tonight. Missy Koski, another team leader with the DNA Doe Project, said, "Our hearts go out to Connie's family, and we were honored to bring in them the answers they have sought for so long. I'm proud of our dedicated and skilled volunteers who were able to assist law enforcement in returning Connie Christensen's name after all this time." At the time of her disappearance, Connie's daughter, Misty Labine, was only 1 year old. She spoke with NBC's Madison station, WMTV, about her life without her mother. This is so sad when it comes to young kids or any children, especially when you're very young, that loses a parent. She says, "I didn't get to know a lot about her at all when I was young because I think everybody was a little hurt because they thought that she chose to be gone. Last year, she received a call from the coroner's office about a possible identity. I immediately started crying, and one of my coworkers was like, "It might not be her." And I'm like, "You don't understand. It's her. I know it is," Labine said. Since learning what happened to her mom, Labine visited the site where her mother was found. She told WMTV that she is still looking for some answers in her mom's case. "I want to know what happened to her. I want to know who took her life. I'd love to know a little bit about what she was doing while she was gone and what happened." So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do some research into this. Um, but at least she has been identified, and her family can start getting some closure, and hopefully they can find out what happened to her. All right, let's see what we got next. All right, I think the next one is the Rex Heuermann. Let me find the so this is Julia Ann Bean that you see on the slide there on the left. And they are a tipster. Now take this with a grain of salt, this story with a grain of salt, because it comes from a tipster. I think it says it's like second and third hand information, but interesting nonetheless. It says, could suspected Long Island serial offender Rex Heuermann be tied to this missing South Carolina woman's case? An unidentified tipster, quote, claiming to be a friend of Julia Ann Bean, who vanished 6 years ago from South Carolina, recently implicated accused Gilgo Beach offender Rex Heuermann in the unsolved case. So we do know that Heuermann does have ties, most definitely, to South Carolina. Also to, of course, New York, to Las Vegas. And I think they were trying to find if he had any links to Atlantic City, New Jersey, where they had the 4 victims that were found. I'm gonna have to. I haven't looked into any new information about that lately. I'm gonna have to look that up and see if there's anything that has come of that. But authorities are investigating whether suspected Gilgo Beach serial offender Rex Heuermann is connected to the unsolved 2017 disappearance of a South Carolina woman. Julia Ann Bean vanished on May 31st, 2017, according to NCMEC. Her daughter reported her missing on November 18th of that year. Recently, on August 20th, and this article is from this year, or from 2023, a tipster, quote, claiming to be a friend of Bean, met with a Sumter County Sheriff's Office investigator, claiming, quote, they believed there may be a connection between Bean and suspect Rex Heuermann, the agency said in a statement. The information the person provided authorities was third hand and passed off to detectives investigating Julia's disappearance. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office contacted the FBI, sharing the information with the agency. Officials said the individual who provided the tip regarding the accused Lisk is not local to Sumter County. Authorities also said they notified Julia's daughter, who was very cooperative and eager to assist investigators. She told detectives she recalled, quote, someone she saw with her mother around the time of her disappearance who, quote, could possibly be Heuermann. Now, I don't know if she elaborated on why she thought he could be Heuermann, unless she probably saw a picture when they did arrest Heuermann. Of course, his picture was all over everywhere. She might have possibly recognized him from that. According to Julia's daughter, she specifically recalled her mother with a man who was, now was interesting to me. She specifically recalled her mother with a man who was driving a dark truck, Sumter County Sheriff's Office spokesman Mark Bordeaux said. Someone that may have been or may have looked like Mr. Heuermann was with her mother, and a vehicle may have been similar, Bordeaux said. In July, New York authorities seized a black Chevy Avalanche pickup truck from Heuermann's property in Chester, South Carolina, people reported. The property is roughly a 90-minute drive from Sumter. So, her daughter said she saw a man that possibly could have been Heuermann driving a dark truck. Now, like I said, I'm not saying it was, but if the daughter thought that this person resembled Heuermann enough, and he was driving a dark truck, and they seized this black pickup truck, Chevy Avalanche, could be something, could be nothing. Let me know what y'all think out there. All right. Bean's case remains open and ongoing. Officials haven't yet confirmed or disproved the possible ties to Heuermann. Sumter County Sheriff's Office investigators have been poring over the information they have recently received to determine if there is any evidence linking Bean with Heuermann. The agency said in a statement on October 29th, yet there are no confirmed facts that confirm or deny the possibility of a connection. A spokesman for the FBI told Oxygen on Thursday that the agency was aware of reports of a possible link between Heuermann and Julia's disappearance. However, the agency refused to confirm whether they were actively investigating the case. So we can neither confirm nor deny. The FBI is aware of reports that have been made to local law enforcement concerning Bean's disappearance. Spokesperson Kevin Wheeler said in an emailed statement, as per Department of Justice guidelines, we cannot confirm nor deny the existence of an investigation. Heuermann was arrested in July and charged with 6 counts of homicide in the deaths of Melissa Barthelemy, 24, Megan Waterman, 22, Amberlynn Costello, 27. We all know about that. And he is also the main suspect in the homicide of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. All right, so that was that on. So what do you guys think? Thank you, Ro. Ro says, lots of people being recovered. God is exposing many hidden darkness, uncovered good. Upload watching in small town Colorado. Blessings to all. Well, welcome from Colorado. I always wonder where you're from. I don't think you'd ever see it. Yeah, it's always good when any people who have been missing for any length of time are found or identified, and gives the family some closure. It always brings a little bit of joy to my heart whenever they find somebody and identify them, and hopefully they can get some justice for them. All right, next we will talk a little bit about the happy face offender. I have to be careful what words I can use. All right, let me find the here it is. I'm trying to find the right article. So how many of you out there have heard about the happy face offender, Keith Jesperson? I've looked into him a little bit. I haven't done a deep dive. Of course, I'm aware of the case, but I haven't did a deep dive on Jesperson. but according once again to oxygen.com, it says woman dumped along interstate in Florida, identified as happy face offender victim 29 years later. So now, and once again, another one identified after 29 years, very long time. Keith Jesperson told investigators he didn't want to draw a security guard's. This just sent chills down my spine when I read this, when I found this article. Keith Jesperson told investigators he didn't want to draw a security guard's attention when a woman in his truck screamed, quote, so he stopped her from breathing by pushing his fist against her neck, authorities said. So that just shows you the depravity of this person. I don't want to call him a human being. Anyway. So nearly 3 decades after her life was taken and she was dumped by the side of a road in northwestern Florida, a woman previously only known to authorities as a Jane Doe has been identified as a victim of the happy face offender. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office announced Tuesday that Susan Yellenberg, 34, was the woman that Keith Jesperson took the life of in August of 1994. His body, he said, he disposed of near the Holt exit on Interstate 10. Jesperson admitted to an Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office investigator in February of 1996 that he killed a woman in August 1994 and dumped her remains near that interstate exit, adding that he remembered the victim's name as Susan or Suzette, according to the sheriff's office. By that point, Jesperson had already been arrested in March of 1995 for the homicide of Julie Winningham, whose body was found by a road in Washougal, Washington that month. So who is a happy face killer? Jesperson was dubbed the happy face offender because he drew smiley faces on the notes he sent to investigators and media outlets about his crimes. Police have confirmed his connection to 8 homicides across several states: Washington, Oregon, California, Florida, Nebraska, and Wyoming. During the 5-year span between 1990 and 1995. Though at one point he claimed that he had taken the lives of more than 100. Probably exaggerating that a little bit. While the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office have been trying to identify the woman dumped along the interstate in Florida since her body was found, they weren't able to match her to a name until this year, which was 2023 or in 22. In late 2022, the medical examiner's office began working with Othram, which is a company that uses, once again, genetic genealogy to aid in identification. Othram Inc., based in the Woodlands, Texas, is a leader in using forensic grade genome sequencing to develop comprehensive genealogical profiles. This year, the medical examiner's office sent samples to Othram. I won't go into all the technical details. They sent samples. Othram did their thing. In September, investigators from the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and an assistant state attorney visited Oregon State Penitentiary, where Jesperson is serving 7 life sentences for the homicides of 7 other women from across the U.S. that he committed while working as a long-haul trucker. Jesperson, who was unaware until that morning of the group's arrival, met with them unannounced and provided additional details which law enforcement was not previously aware of, the sheriff's office stated. Jesperson has since been charged with Yellenberg's homicide. Her family, she has family that lives in Wisconsin, and her next of kin have been notified. The family asked for privacy at this time. Understandable. At the Oregon State Penitentiary, Jesperson outlined again to investigators that he met the victim at a truck stop near Tampa in August 1994, and they traveled to a rest area in the Panhandle. While at the rest area, Jesperson was parked next to a security guard, and the victim was sleeping in his bed. When he sat next to her, he says she began screaming and wouldn't stop. Jesperson told investigators he was not allowed to have unauthorized riders in his truck and didn't want to draw the security guard's attention. Therefore, he stopped her from breathing by pushing his fist against her neck. Authorities continued. He later placed zip ties around her throat as well. He then drove to the Holt exit on Interstate 10, where he left her body, later discovered by an inmate worker on September 14th, 1994. Thanks to the tireless efforts of so many over so long, the remains of Susan Yellenberg, the final unidentified victim of Jesperson's cross-country sprees, can finally leave the medical examiner's office and return home, said Sheriff Eric Aiden of the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. The D1 medical examiner's office received the skeleton remains of Yellenberg on September 15th, 1994, the day after her body was found near I-10. During the initial investigation, an exam found that the remains belonged to a white female who was approximately 35 to 55 years of age. A clay facial reconstruction was created at the time, but did not result in any leads. And in 2007, another facial reconstruction was made. The remains were sent out for additional testing and DNA analysis several other times over the years before the Othram test this year, 2023, led to the positive identification of Yellenberg. So once again, camera falling here. So once again, another one identified after 29 years with, once again, genetic genealogy. And like I said, you can everybody has a right to their opinion about the use of public databases and genetic genealogy. But once again, in my opinion, if it helps identify victims to bring home to their families, or in some way to help find or identify an offender, I think it's a good tool to use. I don't think it should be taken advantage of, and then we'll get into the semantics of, well, what's taking advantage, but all in all, like I said, in my opinion, I think it's a good tool to have. But let me know, any of you out there, let me know what you guys think about it, whether you agree or disagree. Like I said, everybody's opinion is welcome here. Just always respect the victims' families, and each other in your chats and in your comments. Alrighty, let's see what we got next. All right, Jacob Wetterling. How many of y'all are familiar with the Jacob Wetterling case? While I'm trying to find, there it is, the right article. And this is a case from Minnesota, in case you've never heard of it. So once again, this comes from Oxygen.com. And you can see there on the left is a picture of Jacob Wetterling. and he was missing for 27 years before his remains were found. So once again, another case over 20 years before his remains were found. He was kidnapped off the side of the road in October of 1989. I believe he was with two other friends. I'm sure it'll give details in the article, but just from what I can remember, he was with two other friends. They were on I think two were on a bicycle. One was on like a motorized scooter or just a push scooter. They had gone down the road just a few minutes to rent a video to watch. And on their way back, they met this vehicle. A man got out, ordered them all to drop their bikes, lay on the ground. I think he asked them all how old they were. And he ended up taking Jacob. So apparently he knew what age and maybe what physical appearance he was looking for. His type, as you would say, as far as serial offenders go. So in the fall of 1989, 11-year-old Jacob Wetterling was snatched while on a bicycle ride at night in Minnesota by a masked gunman and never seen alive again. The case haunted the small community he was taken from, as well as the nation. The boy's case remained unsolved for more than 2.5 decades until 2016, when his abductor confessed to assaulting, taking his life, and burying him in rural Minnesota farmland. In October of 2023, 34 years after Jacob's abduction and homicide, his mother released a book dealing with how she coped with the loss of a child and what she did to try to prevent other families from suffering such losses. And once again, along with the victims, the most important parts of these stories are the victims' families. I cannot imagine what his mother went through and is still going through. I mentioned the Morgan Nick documentary earlier. It's called Still Missing Morgan. You can find it on Hulu, and it has a lot of information about because if you weren't here earlier, Jacob's mother and Morgan Nick's mother became friends due to their bond of having children missing, and they talked a lot about they featured Jacob's case a lot in the Still Missing Morgan documentary. So if you get a chance, check it out. But both ladies, Colleen Nick, Morgan's mother, and Jacob's mother, very strong women. They've done a lot to help other families who have lost missing children. Of course, Colleen started the Morgan Nick Foundation. They not only help find, missing children, they also help with missing adults. So check out the Morgan Nick Foundation also. All right. Lost my place. While Jacob's offender was never charged for his crimes against the boy thanks to a plea deal, the child story led to a new law as well as help bring resources to families with missing or exploited children. So once again, both Morgan's mom and Jacob's mom had a lot to do with getting these resources going for these families of missing children. So how was Jacob kidnapped? So on the night of October 22nd, 1989, Jacob was riding his bike home in St. Joseph, Minnesota, with his 10-year-old brother, Trevor, and his friend, Aaron Larson. The boys had set out to go rent a video and buy snacks at a local convenience store. On their way back to the Wetterling residence, a masked man carrying a firearm stopped the boys, told them to shut their flashlights off, and lay down in a ditch. I still remember my first reaction was, I think I let out a laugh, almost, because I thought this must be a joke. Larson told ABC News. It became real pretty quick, and Larson was the friend. The man grabbed Jacob and told the other two boys to run away and not look back, or he would use the firearm. And then Jacob and the gunman vanished without a trace. So Trevor, who was Jacob's brother, and Larson, the friend, went back to the Wetterling home. They alerted Rochelle Curtis. She was a neighbor who was babysitting them that night, or who was babysitting Jacob and Trevor's younger sister that night. The neighbor's father called Jacob's parents and then called the police. The next day, the search for Jacob expanded. The FBI joined. The community worked tirelessly to conduct searches around the abduction site. Detectives investigated tire tracks, shoe prints. They made a composite sketch of what the abductor might have looked like. And I'm assuming they went off of what the two boys told them. Jacob's face appeared on missing signs, highway billboards, and milk cartons. So he was also one of the milk carton kids. So who took the life of Jacob Wetterling? Police found similarities in Jacob's case to a string of child assault cases in Painesville, Minnesota, which, like St. Joseph, is located in Stearns County. In 2014, the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team re-examined the Wetterling case, which led investigators to put a Painesville resident under the microscope, ABC News reported, and his name was Danny Heinrich. It was just a name that we heard at the very beginning, and it was probably one of those 5 to 7 that they couldn't clear just because his name kept coming up. Jacob's mother, Patty Wetterling, told ABC News. Heinrich was first questioned shortly after Jacob's kidnapping, but could never be linked to the crime. However, DNA evidence on the clothes of Jared Sherrill, who was a boy who was kidnapped and assaulted in the same year and county as Jacob, matched with Heinrich, probing investigators to look into him in connection to Jacob's case. Heinrich was never charged in the Sherrill case because the statute of limitations had run out. So I guess there is a statute of limitation on kidnapping and assault. Now, there's not a statute of limitations on homicide. Heinrich was, however, arrested on CSAM charges in October of 2015 based on images found on his in his home when police issued a search warrant, according to ABC News. Nearly a year after he was arrested, Heinrich confessed to investigators that he was the man who abducted Jacob all those years ago, as a part of a plea deal in which he would plead guilty to one count of CSAM in exchange for a maximum 20-year sentence. Heinrich admitted to confronting the three boys on the night of October 22nd, 1989, according to a transcript of his confession in a court obtained by CBS News. He says, "I was driving on a road, a dead-end road. I noticed 3 children on their bicycles with a flashlight. I pulled into a driveway, passed. After they passed me, I turned around and faced the direction of the road that they would be coming back on. Approximately 20 minutes or so later, they came back. I stepped out of my car. I put a mask on. I reached for my firearm and proceeded onto the road." He explained how the boys cooperated as he ordered them to climb into the ditch. He asked them their names and their ages. He said he then took Jacob and told the other 2 boys to flee. So apparently he wanted, and I'm assuming, I can't remember if I gave the age of all the boys, but I would assume they were about maybe the same age range. But apparently for some reason, he liked Jacob. He goes on to say, I told Trevor and Aaron to run away, not look back, or I would use the firearm, and I took Jacob back to my car. I handcuffed him and put him in the front passenger seat of the car. And when asked if Jacob said anything to him, Heinrich told the court that Jacob asked him, what did I do wrong? That just breaks my heart. This child, basically a child, thinks that he did something wrong to be kidnapped, and eventually just breaks my heart. He did nothing wrong. He was a kid going out to get a movie to watch, and this bad man, it's just so sad. That child did nothing wrong. All right, so Heinrich said that he assaulted, then took Jacob's life in a grove of trees. He then buried Jacob as best he could. He said he went back a year later and transferred Jacob's remains to some farmland in Painesville, where he took investigators in 2016. On September 3rd, 2016, Minnesota authorities confirmed that Jacob's remains were found 27 years after he was kidnapped, according to NBC News. The Stearns County Sheriff's Office said that a medical examiner and forensic expert specializing in teeth confirmed the boy's identification. Doug Kelly, the Wetterling family attorney, told CBS News that the family believes that without the plea deal, they would have never found Jacob. So sometimes you have to, a plea deal is not all the ideal outcome, but I can understand. I would probably do the same thing. If you say, hey, we'll give you this if you just let us know where our loved one is, I would do it. For 27 years, Jacob's family and the nation hoped the Minnesota boy would come home. Jacob's parents, Patty and Jerry, also used that time to do whatever they could to diminish the exploitation and abduction of other children. In 1990, they founded what is now called the Jacob Wetterling Resource Center, which is committed to educating the public about who takes children, how they do it, and what each of us can do to stop it, according to the website. They turn their pain into action to help others. So it's always kudos to them for taking their tragedy, their pain, and turning it into something positive to try to help other families who may have missing loved ones. The Wetterling family's activism led to the Wetterling Act, as it became known, which required all states to establish a registry of offenders. Jacob spurred Patty into being a bulldog for keeping kids safe, Jerry told ABC News. I am a believer in children, Patty said. Amen. I second that. In her book, Dear Jacob, A Mother's Journey of Hope, Patty revealed the untold story of the nearly 30-year search for her son, which she faced with hope and optimism as the investigation unfolded. From the very beginning, I told her, Patty, there are other mothers who have lost their children, and there are other mothers who have missing children. Co-author Joy Baker told the Star Tribune, but there's no one like you who has gone on and changed the laws and caught the attention of Congress and the president and spoke and made such a difference. So, like I said, the connection with Patty Wetterling and Colleen Nick, which is Morgan Nick's mother, everything they've done, and all the other people that have lost loved ones and have gone on to turn it into something positive and to build these organizations and enact these laws. Just God bless them for that. And hopefully it'll help bring some more Best case scenario, bring missing kids home safe and sound. But if not, at least help find what happened to them. Thank you, Rose says, great upload as always. Thanks for all you're appreciated and so caring and kind-hearted. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate that. Yeah, the missing are my heart and soul, especially missing children. I feature a lot of missing children and missing children cold cases on here. They just get to me more than all the cases and the missing persons, whether it be kids, adults, whatever, get to me. But the kids hit me here a little bit harder. So I try to feature bring as much attention as I can to missing children cases. All right, let's see what we got next. All right, next we have the yogurt shop. I can't say the M word. The yogurt shop crimes. Has anybody heard about the yogurt shop M's? Because I can't say the M word. This happened 30 years. 30 years. Another one that's 30 years and it's still not been solved. So this happened in, I believe it was, I'm going to say Texas. We'll find out. So the yogurt shop crimes. Pure unadulterated evil. Why are Austin's yogurt shop crimes still unsolved after 30 years? Eliza Thomas, 17, Jennifer Harbison, 17, Sarah Harbison, 15, and Amy Ayers, 13, where their lives were taken execution style at an Austin yogurt shop in 1991, and their offenders have never been caught. So once again, this is 30 years or more. Happened in 1991, so would be over 30 years. 33 years. 33, 34, if I'm doing my math right. Yep, Junior says, I've heard of most of these cases. Yeah. Yep, I've heard of sorry, I keep hitting my table and screwing everything up here. Yep, I've heard of all these cases. Well, except for that first one that I featured. But I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at, especially since it's been over 20 years and we have so far two of them that a victim is identified, a victim was found, and then we have this yogurt shop incident that has still not been solved or nobody has been arrested, and it's been over 30 years. Just try to bring some attention to them. All right, so more than 3 decades ago, the bodies of 4 teen girls were found amongst the ashes of an Austin yogurt shop following a robbery gone horrifically wrong. Now, some people say this is a robbery, and some opinions are this was just a robbery gone wrong, and then I've read some opinions that this maybe wasn't planned, but it was a crime of opportunity with these 4 young girls alone, and they maybe tried to cover it up and make it look like a robbery gone wrong. Who knows? Like I said, it's case has not been solved. I don't think there's a lot of evidence to go on. It's just a sad case. So 17-year-old store workers Eliza Thomas and Jennifer Harbison, as well as 15-year-old Sarah Harbison and 13-year-old Amy Ayers were found bound, gagged, and assaulted at the restaurant. The case haunts Austin to this day. as the 33rd anniversary of one of Texas's most notorious cold case crimes approaches, justice still hasn't been served, and cold case detectives have yet to pinpoint their offender or offenders. On December 6, 1991, authorities responded to reports of a fire at the Austin yogurt shop. I can't believe it's yogurt. Firefighters who quickly extinguished the blaze made a ghoulish discovery in and around the storage room area of the yogurt shop. The charred, bound bodies of 4 teenage girls who had been GSW to the head. They talking about the firefighters. It says they believed it was just a fire, but after the flames were put out, they discovered the girls' bodies. A 22 revolver and 380 semi-auto were believed to have been used, according to the Austin American-Statesman. The series of homicides rocked Austin. A $100,000 reward was subsequently offered by a private group of entrepreneurs. And Ellis, who was Ellis? Oh, a former TV affiliate. Dick Ellis says it was pure, unadulterated evil. Which, yes, I agree. And I think the first that I heard of this case was I watched Unsolved No More channel with Ken Maines. He's a former law enforcement cold case detective. He did at least one video, maybe more, about the yogurt shop crimes. So if you want to deep dive about this case, go check out Unsolved No More. I think he has a playlist. It's just very horrible, horrible, horrible. All right, so who were the victims? Eliza Thomas, Jennifer Harbison, as well as her younger sister, Sarah Harbison, and Amy Ayers, who I believe was a friend of the younger sister, Sarah. Their lives were taken in the attack. Eliza and Jennifer were the yogurt shop employees. Jennifer's little sister, Sarah, and Sarah's friend, Amy, were also at the shop. They had planned to get a ride home with Jennifer after the store closed at 11 p.m. Investigators theorized that the 4 teens were forced into the storage room where the offender or offenders forced them to undress, bound them in their own undergarments, and it says assaulted some of them. So I take that to mean that not all of them were assaulted. Thomas Ayers, Jennifer and Sarah were GSW, single. I have to be careful how I put this stuff. GSW single to the back of the heads. After committing the crimes, the teens, offender or offenders ignited a fire using paper plates, cups, and cardboard from the yogurt shop, which had been soaked in lighter fluid. The inferno, as well as the water from responding firefighters. Hoses in the aftermath of the blaze destroyed countless clues that could have aided detectives. The fire had reportedly burnt so hot that it melted the upper rungs of a thick aluminum ladder in the rear of the business. Over the years, law enforcement have apprehended and even sourced false confessions from multiple people who initially admitted involvement in the crime, according to People magazine. All in all, detectives have eyed more than 1,200 possible suspects. And apparently, some of the suspects were members of some motorcycle gang. In the decades-old cold case, detectives first centered investigative efforts around 4 teenage boys. I'm not going to give their last names. Robert, Michael, Maurice, and Forrest. And Maurice, who coincidentally had been found by police in possession of the same caliber handgun that was used in the crimes, was taken into custody and was let go after he did admit at first to the crimes, but he was freed after law enforcement did not find his confession credible. In 1999, 8 years after the crimes, however, authorities announced that they had arrested all 4 boys, who are now men, in connection to the yogurt shop crimes. After being interviewed by police, Scott and Springsteen ultimately confessed to the crimes. Both men were found guilty. Scott was sentenced to the DP. Springsteen was got a life sentence, but the convictions didn't stick. They were overturned by the Texas Court of Appeals, and the court had ruled. And if anybody out there, after I read this, understands what this means, please let me know. I think I kind of have an understand, kind of can relate it to something else. But the court had ruled Scott and Springsteen weren't given the opportunity to conduct a cross-examination of one another. And that's why it was overturned. And they were freed on bond in June of 2009, and the charges were later dropped. Now, the only thing I can relate this to is if they didn't separate the trials, if they were tried together instead of having 2 separate trials, there's something about if they can't, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a lawyer. If they don't have the chance to, as I say, cross-examine one another, or they can't testify against the other because it's in the same trial, I kind of liken it to, and that kind of, I don't know if it's the same thing, but in the West Memphis 3 trial, Jesse Misskelley's trial was separated from Damien's and Jason's because of Jesse Misskelley's confession. It has something to do with that. And if he would have had their trial, all 3 of them on trial together, he wouldn't have been able to testify or something. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't understand. But like I said, if any of you out there in chat know, or anybody watching the replay, get caught up on my. Rose says, or the Minnesota young men are found in lakes done by Smiley offenders. Sad, seems still unsolved, was tragic, sad for families. Yeah, and I agree, it's sad, but apparently there are 1,000 of these smiley face offenders running out there, because every time especially a young man is found in a body of water, they want to attribute it to the smiley face offender. I'm not saying, nothing, I'm not saying, it's definitely sad, but in my opinion, most of these young men or women that are found, in bodies of water, young men and women, most of the time, they go back and look at what they were doing before. They were usually gone to a bar or a club or something of that nature, been doing maybe a little drinking, and it is very easy, especially if it's dark, even if you haven't been drinking, if it's dark and you're near a body of water, it's just so easy to slip off in that body of water, and you're gone. But I'm not saying that that's the case in all of the cases. There are some, that have been found to be homicides, but people just But people just kind of go crazy with this happy face offender. Michelle said, Chelsea says, yes, that one is from Texas. Which one are you talking about? Oh, the yogurt shop. I'm sorry. I'm behind. Hey, Dandelion, it's good to see you here. Happy New Year. Sorry I'm late to the party. Hey, you're not late. You're fine. I was late to the party. I didn't start my stream on time because I got distracted and then trying to get everything set up. We've just been going over some just some older cases, and I want to bring some attention to that. Some not really new information they come up with in the but in the past year there was just some new articles that had come out. Oh, let me see. Andy says, I like more information from LE on all the bodies in barrels found in Lake Mead the last couple of years. Lake Mead, is that the one in Las Vegas or Nevada? If I'm remembering correctly. If it's Lake Mead, if that's the one that's in Nevada, close to Las Vegas, I'm going to say, in my opinion, that a lot of those bodies has something to do with the mafia. That's just my opinion, though. Because I'm very interested. Another one of my interests is the American Mafia. Not saying that I condone it by any means, but it's just another one of my interests, along with true crime and the paranormal and everything else. All the other weird stuff I'm interested in. All right, we'll finish up right quick on yogurt shop. So, excuse me. Two customers who were at the yogurt shop around the time of the crimes recalled seeing two individuals at the shop before it closed at around 11 p.m. And these customers were described by other patrons as, quote, out of place. Who knows what they meant by out of place? Anybody at any time can seem out of place somewhere. But then again, either I watch and read up on too much true crime, or I'm just paranoid. But I always keep, if I'm out in public, I'm always keeping a look at everybody around to see if anybody looks suspicious. So maybe these customers they saw that seemed out of place, maybe they were doing or something that seems suspicious. So apparently these out of place customers have never been identified, according to Austin Police Detective John Jones, and we did everything. Apparently they even hypnotized people to see if they could remember anything else about these two folks that seemed out of place. Despite the damage to the crime scene, a partial DNA profile was also found at the scene of the crime, per Austin television station, local television station. This sample, however, only had 16 genetic markers, which the outlet reported, and apparently that wasn't enough to incriminate somebody, but it could potentially eliminate possible suspects. So anybody who knows about Mr. Steve was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still here. He's a former CSI. He could tell you about this DNA stuff. Okay. Nonetheless, detectives remain hopeful the scant genetic material still could one day help build a case against the offender or offenders. Still, after more than 3 decades, it's been 33 years, the case still remains unsolved. In 2017, Austin detectives also submitted the DNA samples into a database, which later matched to an unidentified individual. So they had DNA that they put into maybe CODIS or whatever other and it came back as a match to somebody that was in whatever database they put it in. But, and I don't understand this, according to the report, the FBI was the one that had provided the matching person sample, but the individual's identity wasn't included with the specimen. I want to know why. And federal agents, citing privacy, ultimately could not reveal the person's identity. So if anybody out there who knows more, smarter than me, if you put this sample, authority or Austin detectives put it into the database, it came back with a match to an unidentified individual. The FBI had provided this matcher's sample, the matching sample, to the database, but the identity of the person wasn't included. And because of privacy, they couldn't reveal the person's identity. Somebody please explain this to me out there. Anybody watching now or on replay? I would love to ask Mr. Steve about this, or because he's former, like I said, he's former law enforcement detective, CSI. I would want to know why they could not give the identity of this person. Maybe not to the public, but give it to the law enforcement or detectives or whoever it needed to be given to investigate. I'm not understanding. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just having a brain fart. But that just blew my mind when I read that. Yep. I agree. Dandelion says safety first in public. People are so unaware of their surroundings. It's not weird. It's smart and necessary. Yes. And I said kind of jokingly that I got more paranoid after I started getting more into the older and more into the true crime, but I've always been cautious, especially by myself. Even nowadays, in the broad daylight, if I'm at home, if I'm not working or out somewhere, if I'm in the house, and I live in the country, I mean, the closest neighbor I have is right next door is my uncle, and the next neighbor is 3 or 4 miles down the road and around the corner, and we know all our neighbors and we've known them all our lives. I keep my doors locked. One reason is we're only about, I say we live in the country, we're not like out in the boonies, but it's maybe a 5-minute drive from here to town, a little town. I live in a town of less than 2,000 people, but it's 2 miles. We live right on the Interstate 40, major interstate that runs from the West Coast to the East Coast. And so it'd be very easy, people with ill intentions to get off the freeway, take some back roads, and end up out here, and who knows. So I just keep my doors locked day and night if I'm home. Likewise, when I'm out and about, if I'm in my vehicle, if I'm pulling into Walmart or gas station or wherever I'm going, I pop the door locked when I'm getting my stuff ready before I get out of the car. Then when I get back in the car, when I close the door, lock the door. First thing I do, get all my stuff settled before I leave. I've just made that a habit. Because I actually this has been years ago, but my sister-in-law's aunt, she and her husband had stopped at a local gas station, one town over. He had gone inside to either pay for the gas or get whatever. The aunt was in the car. A man came and got in the car with her. And she said, my husband's fixing to come back. And apparently that was enough, thankfully, to spook the guy. And he got out of the car and left. So you never know. And this is, once again, the next town over is a little bit bigger. It's maybe just a little bit over 2,000. Very small town. So even in these small towns, you just never know, especially these days, you never know what can happen. So it's just, Danny Linus says it perfectly. You have to always be aware of your surroundings. Um, so yeah, excellent point, Dandy. Thank you very much. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right, let's see. We're hour 25 in. Let's see. I think that was the last one I had. Maybe if you want to talk a little bit, I think the next, let me go back. I did. Sorry, I can't get the right. I believe that one. They did the demo of the Idaho 4 house. I don't know what y'all's anybody out there watching in chat that's still in here, or anybody in replay have any opinions regarding that. All opinions are welcome. Once again, just always be respectful of each other's opinions. But it is apparently no more. I've seen pictures. I haven't had time yet to watch the video, find a video on online of the actual demolition of it. In my opinion, and like I said earlier, both the prosecution and the defense did agree to go ahead and have it demolished, because apparently they had both the prosecution and defense had both gotten all the evidence that they think they need out of it. But most of the families, of course, I think were against it, at least until after the trial was over. In my opinion, I think they should have waited at least until after the trial, just in case, because you never know what, in cases like these, you never know what happens, especially because this case is so high profile. Yeah, I think they should have at least waited until after. But I just found one of many articles. I'll just read quickly, and this is from KTVB7.com, which is probably a local Idaho news site. It says King Road house demolished. Crime scene where 4 University of Idaho students were slain. The decision made by the University of Idaho has sparked controversy, particularly among some of the victims' families who contest the demolition. Demolition of the house on King Road in Moscow, Idaho, where 4 University of Idaho students' lives were taken last November, began early Thursday morning. The decision made by the University of Idaho has sparked controversy, particularly among some of the victims' families who contest the demolition. The family of victim Kaylee Gonsalves stated on December 21st, the University of Idaho wants to destroy one of the most critical pieces of evidence in the case. And I think, and I get what they're saying. I mean, who knows? Once again, I'm not law enforcement. I'm not a CSI. Leave all that up to Mr. Steve from True Crime Web. Like I said, the prosecution and defense said that they had gotten everything they needed, but you just never know. You never know. That's just my opinion. Like I said before, I think they should have at least waited until after the trial was over. And somebody, I think it was Chris from the Mob Crew, made a good point, is what if the jury, if they had the option to, wanted to go out there just to get a look at not just the house, but the surrounding area, so they could kind of get a picture, an idea of what might allegedly, if Kohlberger is the offender, how he could have, just get a lay of the land. Like I said, like they did with the Murdaugh case. They took all the jurors out there, and apparently that made a lot of difference to at least a couple of the jurors in the Murdaugh case of getting to go out there and look to help them make their decision, to help them understand how things could have happened better. So, like I said, I think they should have waited till at least after the trial, but that's not my decision to make. So, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kylie Gonsalves, lives were taken in the off-campus residence referred to as the King Roadhouse on November 13th, 2022. Despite concerns, the university argues that the demolition of the house is necessary for the community to begin healing from the crimes, by ridding them of the reminder that until Thursday remain prominently on a hill, boarded up and taped off. And I understand that. I understand that it opens up wounds, and it's a constant reminder, but I don't know. At the time of the crimes, the home was being rented out by an individual to 3 of the 4 students. The owner of the house gave the property to the University of Idaho the following spring. The university then made the decision to demolish the home to eliminate the grisly reminder of the crimes that occurred there. We know that every action and decision around this horrific incident is painful and invokes emotions. That is why every decision we have made this far is with the families of the victims and our students in mind. UI President Scott Green said, "This is a healing step and removes the physical structure where the crimes that shook our community was committed. Demolition also removes efforts to further sensationalize the crime scene reenactment." I have a point there because we have these very small percentage of true crime buffs, crazy people, but I didn't say that, who go out to these crime scenes and take pictures and just are so disrespectful and whatever else they do when they go to these crime scenes. So I can understand that, but once again, like I said, that I think they should have waited till at least after the trial. Yep, Dandy, I agree with you. Dandy Linus says, "I think it's disrespectful, and I'm disappointed that they demolished the house." Yeah. So do you think that they should have not demolished it at all, or just waited until after the trial? I'm just curious. I mean, because in my opinion, what they should do with it is, I mean, in my opinion, if they left the house there, it would have become this grisly attraction for these weirdo true crime buffs, not like us normal true crime buffs. But if they were going to demolish it, wait till after the trial and put some kind of memorial or like a little garden or do something with it. I don't know. I think it would have caused some problems with the looky loos coming to look at it. That's just my opinion. All right. Let's see. Lost my place. I forgot where. Okay. University officials plan to construct a memorial called Vandal Healing Garden and Memorial on the university campus in memory of the victims. Now, I don't know if that means at the side of the house or on the campus. Yeah, I don't think the house was actually on the campus, but it was very close. I could be wrong. So if anybody out there knows, let me know. I knew that we would have to create some kind of memorial to remember these four bright souls that we lost. So we are creating a Vandal Healing Garden and Memorial. It's nestled in a quiet. Sorry, these stupid ads keep coming up. Ah, shoot! It just closed out my. Oh no! I just closed out my window. There we go. Give it to me. I always have technical difficulties. Oh, apparently, me and my computer aren't getting along because it won't go back to. I wanted to go back to. I was going to finish reading the article. Oh my goodness! I have to go search for it again. Apparently. Oh no! Oh, there it is. No, that was the yogurt shop. So I wanted to read. There are some statements from the families that I wanted to read. This one? Nope, not. Oh no, I'll find it. Maybe. Oh, there it is. I found it. I found it. All right, let's get down to the family statements. I'll try not to shut down the. Okay, so victims' families, please to halt King Road house demolition. Nobody is listening, and everyone tells you how sorry they are for the decision, but the family's opinion isn't a priority, said the Gonsalves family. Victims' families have a voice and should be heard and listened to. I agree with that. Oh, yeah. Dandy says they should have waited until after the trial, in my opinion. Yes, that's also my opinion. And the memorial is not on campus. All right. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I didn't know that. I didn't think it was because, like I said, I don't. If I remember correctly, the actual house wasn't actually on the campus, but it was nearby. All right. On Wednesday, one day before the demolition was to begin, the Gonsalves and Kernodle families issued one final plea to delay the demolition of the house. Wednesday's statement is just one of several from some of the families. So the Gonsalves family and Kernodle family statements from December 27th. Please stop the demolition of the King Road home. The Gonsalves family has reached out to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and the University of Idaho to stop this madness. When the victims can't speak, you have to speak for them when you feel someone is hurting the case. Let's just answer the question on why the King Road House should stand for basic evidentiary purposes. Exactly. And it gives examples. One, what were the vantage points of the roommates, D and B? What could they hear from where they were in the house? What could they see? How far away was D when she saw BK? Why didn't he see her? Could the surviving roommates hear a dog barking from the third floor, screams? Can you hear those same sounds from the bottom apartment? all valid points, in my opinion. Outside the house, so that's what I was saying earlier about it's, and Chris from the Mob Crew was saying in one of his one of his lives I watched a couple of days ago, the outside is just as important as the inside. So it says outside the house, if evidence is presented about BK leaving or watching the house, what windows could he see in from? Where was he parked? Was he able to view the inside of the house and what was going on from the outside, sitting in a car or walking by? Goes towards premeditation. How long did it take for him to walk to his car? What points of entry could he have gotten into the house? If there's audio evidence, what can you hear standing outside the house? What can you hear inside the house? What was Xana's path in the house to pick up DoorDash? Did she have to walk past different rooms? Could she have walked past BK? Where could he have been hiding? All the entry and exit points in the house. How could you get in and out without anyone seeing you? Or the deck's potential access points, and I've heard that brought up a lot, is if the deck, because if you see, everybody's seen the pictures around the back of the house, there was a deck where you could enter either room that's on technically the second floor or third floor. I've heard that mentioned a lot, although I think it's a general consensus that BK or whoever the offender is entered through the sliding glass doors in the kitchen. Since the decks and landscape features are very close to each other, that's talking about getting the decks being potential access points. Any biological evidence? Where was it located in the house? Any proximity to the victims? Was there any trail outside of biological evidence and its proximity to the house? Once again, Mr. Steve at True Crime Web has done, because of the latent shoe print they found in the house. Mr. Steve does wonderful recreations. He did recreations with how far out, if you have blood on the bottom of your shoe, how far out would it go where you'd be able to see it, either with your own eyes or with luminol. If the house itself was a target, which was a theory from the beginning, which is a supposed reason the University of Idaho called off their campus-wide warning while BK was still not apprehended. Why was the house a target? I think now it's a general consensus that there was one of the girls was the target. And what was the vantage points of other camera evidence pointing toward the house, distance view, lighting. These are just a few of the things that the family has thought of, and no one seems to be able to answer about the house. The question is, if the home is demolished, will all of these questions be able to be answered later on with diagrams, models, technologies, etc., etc. If they become an issue at trial, if not, then leave the home open. I agree. Like I said, you never know what could become important later on when the trial actually starts. Something might come up that neither the prosecution or defense had thought of, although, you would assume they would think of everything, but I mean, nobody's perfect. Dandy says the Chi Omega sorority house that Ted Bundy terrorized in 1978 still stands today. What's the rush in destroying this house? Exactly. Yeah, because I'm trying to think, there was 4 attacked there, one killed, 2 killed. I'm usually pretty good with my Ted Bundy information, but it's been a long time. I know at least 1 was killed there, right? Maybe 2. 4 were attacked, 3 or 4 were attacked. Let me know if I'm wrong. I probably am. All right, so that's the article I had on demolition house, and then of course there are the most important part of this case is the Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee, the victims. Let's just hope they get justice soon, whether it be BK or not. Everybody has their opinions about that too. So if it's not, if it turns out that it's not BK, hopefully they'll have to start all over again. But in my opinion, I think it's a fairly 99.999 in my opinion that it's BK. But that's just my opinion. Yes, that's what I thought. 4 attack, 2 pass, equally as brutal. Absolutely. Just because a victim does not pass does not mean that they weren't brutalized. So you're exactly right, Dandy. All right, I think that's all I had, unless there's any anything else that anybody wants to talk about real quick. Been on about hour 45. It is 15 minutes till 11 Central Time here in the States, so y'all may be getting tired, or some of you may be getting wound up. But anybody that came in late, I was mentioning earlier that now that the holidays are over, and by the way, anybody who came in late, I hope y'all had a happy new year. I'm gonna try to get back to my regular uploading schedule. Excuse me, I gotta take another drink. Don't drop my cup. On Mondays, I'll be getting back to my missing person Monday videos. On Fridays, I have my case of the week, and the cases that some of y'all mentioned earlier, the D. Warner case and the King Bynum. I go back. Oh, sorry, I'm going back to the comments to see who mentioned them. I should know by now. Michelle C. wants me to do King Walker and Diamond Bynum. I will definitely look into those. I don't know if Michelle C. is still here. Probably for my regular viewers that come into my lives who have requested cases, I will try to do on the requested cases the King Walker and Diamond Bynum cases, and then Junior Johnson, I believe, the D. Warner case. I will do those cases live, so that way you guys can be here and give your input and your comments, since they're your cases that you brought to me that you wanted me to do. Just let me know. I'll know if either one of y'all or anybody else has brought up any other cases. If you're still here, just leave me if that would be okay in chat, or in the comments after the show is ended. But when I will definitely get them worked up, D. Warner, and then the Bynum, King and Bynum cases. I will get those worked up, and those will be my priorities to work on. All right, guys. Well, I think I am going to end it here. Been on almost 2 hours. Thank you, everybody who was here. Let me go back. My comments. Okay, no comment. Oh, yes, Dandy. That's also one that I have written down as Echo Lloyd. I remember you mentioned that in the last live stream. I will definitely do that one too. Most definitely will do that one too. So yeah, on like I said, on any of these cases that have been brought to me by my loyal viewers and subscribers, I will try to do lives, but I will give you advance notice and try to find a time where everybody can be here. But yes, yes, Sandy, I've got Echo Lloyd or Echo Floyd, or is it Lloyd? I thought it was Lloyd. Either way, I've got it written down in my notebook. All right, guys. Michelle C says, have a good night. Thank you, Michelle C. Thank you for being here. Dandy, sleep sweet. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you, Dandy, for being here. Let me go back through. Michelle C. and Ryu, thank you for being here. Junior Johnson, he's probably asleep by now. Thank you for being here. Mr. Steve dropped in for a minute. I always think Mr. Steve, it's always an honor to have him here. And once again, if you don't know, go check out True Crime Web. You can find the link to his page on the link to his channel on the homepage of my channel. Scroll down to please visit our friends below. You can find the link there, or you can just go to YouTube and search True Crime Web, and it'll bring him up. Also visit, if you haven't already, Chris at the Mob Crew, Carolyn at Unearthed Secrets, and Dave. All four of those links are on the homepage in the friends section. So please go visit them. They are all wonderful people. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here for the night. Hope everybody had a happy new year. I hope 2024 is going to be a good year. I might be back sometime later this week, maybe Friday night, with another live, but I will definitely let you know. And in the comments of the live stream, once it's ended, if you have anything you want me to talk about, not any of these cases you mentioned, I have to get those worked up, but just any kind of true crime, just open forum that you want to discuss, just let me know, and I might do a live Friday. But if not, I will definitely be uploading my Missing Person Monday video Monday. So there's music coming from somewhere. There's music coming from my laptop. So anyway, till next time. Take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Take care of each other, and I'll see you. Bye-bye.